Shalom. My name is MOREH ISHIYAH YISRAEL from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. Shalom. In today's lesson, lesson number 8, we will deal with Yahweh dates to be remembered. And I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt and give you 7 different covenants that Yahweh will make on certain dates that our people have no idea what these days are. The first date that I would like you to see and to consider is one of the first covenants that Yahweh would even give his people. It's not the first covenant he gave them when they was formed as a nation, but it's the first covenant he attached to his people to demonstrate they and they alone would know his calendar. Let us start reading in the book of Jeremiah, the 33rd chapter, and you're going to see why this was made with the children of Israel. In the book of Jeremiah 33, and I may add, we will do this like all the various scriptures, all the various subjects and topics that we will bring to you in 40 minutes or less, because it don't take more than 40 minutes. And most times, it will be considerably less than 40 minutes to prove the word of Yahweh. Now, watch this covenant, but most important, watch the date of this covenant. In the book of Jeremiah 33, we will start reading at the 19th verse. And the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David, my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. So as you can see, Yahweh will make a covenant with day and night, that they are in their proper season. And many of our people today, they will tell you a day start at night. That's out of season. And even many of our people will start their months at night, their years at night. And none of these things are true, because all these things are out of season. And let me show you one more scripture on this. In the book of Jeremiah, the 31st chapter, the 35th verse. Thus says Yahweh, which give the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divide the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So as we can see, the whole function and creation of the sun, moon, and stars, the ordinances that govern them, the law that governs them, is essential for the children of Israel. And what is the date of this covenant? Well, the date of this covenant you will find in the book of Genesis, the first chapter. And let us turn there. Genesis, the first chapter, the 14th verse. This is what it says. And these are first two covenants, covenant of day and covenant of the night. In the book of Genesis, the first chapter, the 14th verse, and Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, for seasons, for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night, and he made the stars also. And Elohim set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day, over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And little do people know, this is the very first day of the new month, of the new season, and of the year that Yahweh gave his people to begin their 7-year calendar. And on this day of the new month, Yahweh will have us celebrate this covenant that he made with day and night, that it would not depart from his ordinances or in his season. And our people must learn this, because to teach that a day start at night, to teach that a day start in the evening, this goes totally contrary to the ordinances of Yahweh. These are the first two covenants. In every new month, and every day of the new month, and every beginning of the month, we are to celebrate it. From one new month to the next, all flesh is to come to worship Yahweh and Yahweh only. The second covenant that I will show you, that Yahweh not only will give his people, but Yahweh gave the whole world. And this covenant is the covenant of the bow that many people call the rainbow. And you'll read about this covenant in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter. Let us turn there. And even though I said it's the second covenant, it's really the third covenant, because it's after day and night. In the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, this is what it says. And we're going to read in the 18th verse. And let me say this even more correctly. It is the second covenant that you will read about in the scriptures, not necessarily the second covenant that Yahweh gave his people, or third covenant. 18th verse. This is what it says. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee, and every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, cattle after their kind, every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. Two of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And so the Almighty let us know profoundly that he would establish this covenant with Noah, his sons, and all that will come into the ark with him. And the date that Yahweh would do this, because this was said even before they went into the ark. But the date in which this will happen on is in Genesis, the 7th chapter, in the 11th verse. This is what it says. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the self same day, enter Noah, Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the three wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, every fowl after his kind, and every bird of every sort. So Yahweh put a bow in the sky as a token, as a sign that many people call a rainbow, to assure in truth that Yahweh will never again destroy the earth by flood. And this is the date in which this began to occur. It's not only the date when they went into the ark, the second month, the 17th day of the month, but it's also the date when the Almighty began to allow the earth to be flooded. This is where it's began, and this should be remembered. And why? Because it's a covenant. And why should day and night be known and remembered? Because it is a covenant. Those are three of the covenants. Let me show you another covenant in the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. And watch what this says. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. And what are we discussing? We're discussing 7 covenants on various dates in the scripture that our people should know by heart. If Yahweh thought to date these things and also make a covenant as a result of these things, then why don't you remember them? Why don't you know them? In the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, this is what it says, starting at the 9th verse. Only take heed to thyself. Keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thy eyes have seen, lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons, especially the day that thou stoodest before Yahweh, thy Elohim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. Now, how can you teach your children about a day that you don't even remember? Watch what it says, so you can understand what day he's speaking of. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire into the midst of heaven, with darkness and clouds and thick darkness. And Yahweh spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only you heard the voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go over to possess it. And so, as we see here, profoundly, that Yahweh made a covenant with his people, even 10 commandments. But when did Yahweh do that? Surely this is important to know, since Yahweh will even attach a date to it. And let me show you that date. You'll read about it in the book of Exodus. Exodus, the 19th chapter. In the book of Exodus, the 19th chapter, we'll begin reading at the very first verse. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. And so he already began to let us know what month this was. It was the 3rd month after we came out of Egypt, which is the 1st year of our Sabbath of years. Watch what it says, because it's going to let you know the day also. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel encamped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say to the house of Yaakov, and tell the children of Israel, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle wings and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice, indeed, keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moshe told the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go unto the people, sanctify them today. And what's today? The third month, the very day of the new month. And tomorrow, which is the morning, the next day, which is the first day of the third month. And sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. And what is the date of that? That is the third month, the second day of the month. 3 days expire. The day of the new month, the first day of the month, and then the second day of that month. Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai, and thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. So when our people receive the covenant of the 10 Commandments, it was in this third month, the second day of the month. And I may add, not only this is the day that Yahweh gave us the 10 Commandments, but this is the day when our people was joined unto Yahweh in holy matrimony. From this day forward, Yahweh will say, He is our husband. He is married to us. This was that day. So not only we got the covenant of the day and night, which occurs every new month. And why every new month? Because that is the day when Yahweh will separate the lights of heaven and give them ordinances to let them know one is to rule the day and the other two will rule the night. Then he gave us a covenant during the time of Noah, the second month, the 17th day of the month. And on that day, the Almighty made a covenant with Noah and his sons and their wives and all that will come into the ark. And of course, as we're reading here, Yahweh made a covenant with his people and gave them 10 commandments. And Yahweh also on this day will marry them. And so every time the third month comes in the very first year, we can celebrate the very day that Yahweh brought us and joined us unto him and gave us 10 commandments. Furthermore, Yahweh made another covenant with his people. And it's in the book of Exodus 31. If you turn to the book of Exodus 31, this is what it says. In the book of Exodus 31, we will begin reading at the 12th verse. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh, that do sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it's holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death, for whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Shabbat of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout the generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. So as we can see, another covenant that Yahweh made with his people. But what is the date of this covenant? Well, let me show you in the book of Exodus 16. In the book of Exodus 16, in the second month, when our people began to journey out of Egypt, this is what it says. First, we're going to read the very first verse so you can get a look of the very month that Yahweh said we journeyed in this wilderness. Watch what it says. And they took their journey from Elim. And all the congregation of the children of Israel came into the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their departing out of the land of Egypt. And that's what Yahweh would tell us at this time. But then he told us to gather manna for 6 days. And he said, on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, there will not be any. And you will read this in the same Exodus 16 in the 23rd verse. And watch what this says. Because now you're going to see the date in which Yahweh will make a covenant with his people. This is what it says in the 23rd verse. And he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto Yahweh. Bake that which ye will bake today, seed that ye will seed, and that which remaineth overlay up for you to be kept unto the morning. And why is that so important? Because little do our people know, this is the very first time that Yahweh would even call the 7th day the Sabbath. And when he called it the Sabbath, he only and exclusively gave this Sabbath to his people, because this was a covenant, a perpetual covenant that the children of Israel was to keep forever. And not only it was a perpetual covenant, but it's a sign between Yahweh and his people that Yahweh has separated them, sanctified them from the rest of the world. And when was this? In the second month, in the 22nd day of the month. And how do I know it? Because they came into this wilderness the second month, the 15th day. They gathered manna 6 days after they came in to this wilderness, after the 15th, and the 7th day they were to rest. And 7 days from the 15th is the 22nd day of the month. Watch what it further said. And they laid it up to the morning as Moshe bade. It did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moshe said, eat that today. For today is a Sabbath unto Yahweh. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it. But on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. The very first time Yahweh will call the 7th day the Sabbath, the second month, the 22nd day of the month. Furthermore, the last scripture that I will show you is another covenant. And you'll read about this covenant in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah, the 55th chapter. And watch what it says about this covenant in the book of Isaiah 55. Let us turn there. And we're going to start reading at the very first verse. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that have no money, come ye buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear, come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. So as we can see, Yahweh said he will make a sure covenant, an everlasting covenant with you. With who? Who is you? Israel. Even the sure mercies of David. And let me show you this covenant so you can see how merciful Yahweh has been to give his people this covenant. And you'll read it in the book of 1 Kings, the 8th chapter, and then we will show you the date. In the book of 1 Kings, the 8th chapter, watch what this says. And we're going to read the 22nd verse, starting there. And Solomon stood before the altar of Yahweh in the presence of all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands toward heaven. And he said, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, there is no Elohim like thee in heaven, above or earth beneath, who keepeth covenant and mercy with thy servants, that walk before thee with all their heart. And what is this covenant? You're going to see. Who has kept with thy servant David, my father, that thou promised him. Thou spakest also with thy mouth, and hast fulfilled it with thy hand, as it is this day. Therefore now, Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, keep with thy servant David, my father, that thou promised him, saying, there shall not fail thee a man in my sight to sit on the throne of Israel, so that thy children take heed to their way, and that they walk before me as thou hast walked before me. And now, O Elohim of Israel, let thy word, I pray thee, be verified, which thou spakest unto thy servant David, my father. But will Elohim indeed dwell on earth? Behold, the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much lest this house that I've built. Yet have thou respect unto the prayer of thy servant, to his supplication, O Yahweh thy Elohim, to hearken unto the cry, to the prayer, which thy servant prayed before thee today, that thy eyes may be open toward this house night and day, even toward the place of which thou hast said, my name shall be there, that thou mayest hearken unto the prayer which thy servant shall make toward this place. And little do people know, this is the sure mercies of David, because now we have an opportunity to pray toward this house, not just Israel, but anybody that's in their heart, pray toward this place, and they're sincere, Yahweh will hear them, Yahweh will heal them, and Yahweh will forgive them. And the date that this all occurred on is in the book of 2 Chronicles, the 3rd chapter, the 3rd verse. And this is the date. Watch what it says. Or we're going to start at the 1st verse. Then Solomon began to build the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem in Mount Moriah, where Yahweh appeared unto David his father, in the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And he began to build in the 2nd day of the 2nd month, in the 4th year of his reign. So we can see the date that Yahweh will give us for the temple, the place in which we pray to, is in the 2nd month, the 2nd day of the month, in the 4th year of his Sabbaths of years. Yahweh dates to be remembered. Why? Because Yahweh will make a covenant with his people and the world on these dates. And until our next program, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.